This is DX Central Live. This is DX Central Live.
Stand by for a transmission from DX Central. This broadcast is not a test. To confirm reception, please tune your radio to any AM or FM frequency and report your observations during this transmission. Again, this is not a test. Stand by for a transmission from DX Central. This broadcast is not a test. To confirm reception, please tune your radio to any AM or FM frequency and report your observations during this transmission. Again, this is not a test.
DX Central Live is brought to you in part by...
From the pages of its DX Monitor member bulletin, members of the International Radio Club of America share their domestic and international AM/DX loggings. In its Mexican log, a wealth of information can be found of stations from south of the border. Technical guides, sunrise, sunset maps, and more make the IRCA a must-join for any AM/DXer. For more information, log on to ircaonline.org. That's ircaonline.org. While the HF bands can be filled with entertaining and intriguing transmissions, how do you know when and where to look? Let Teague Publishing's Global Radio Guide lead the way. In addition to its exhaustive list of time and frequency for international broadcasters, radio hobby icon Gail Van Horn brings you equipment reviews, an SDR buyer's guide, feature articles, and more. Pick up your copy today. Visit teakpublishing.com for more information. That's teakpublishing.com. Since 1933, the National Radio Club has been serving AMDXers while providing some of the most in-depth information in the hobby. From the annual NRC AM log, a must-have reference for domestic station information, to antenna design reference manuals, and of course, the DX News Member Bulletin, which is filled with station information updates, domestic and international loggings, and a whole lot more. Become a member today. For more information, log on to nationalradioclub.org. That's nationalradioclub.org.
Through crashes of static in quiet hours, we listen. In languages we can scarcely understand, and of places we have only visited in our dreams, we listen. Incessantly, we perfect our array of aerials, receivers, and resources. We refine our skills and our techniques so that we might listen. We are DX Central, and we're all about radio. Visit us at dxcentralonline.com or check us out on YouTube. Search DX Central.
Keep up with DX Central. Follow us on Twitter at DX Central.
The Gulf South
to your corner of the world.
This is DX Central Live.
Now here's your host, Lloyd Van Horn.
It's DX Central Live. Welcome, my friends, to a Friday night here in the North Shore Studios in Mandeville, Louisiana. I am so happy to be here with you, as always, and ready to have some fun with some DX. We're going to do something a little different tonight than what we usually do. Gonna serve you up a little slice of something a little bit different. Of course, we got our medium wave frequency challenge going on. Week 1 wrapping up here in about a little over 2 hours. And we'll be starting a new week with a new frequency or frequencies. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. So, let's see. Checking out the chat here. We got some good... I forgot I had the chat up here now. We got some good chat going on here. Some folks talking about some stuff that they've heard. Some new logs this week. You know what that means. We're going to have some fun here in a little bit. Celebrating those new logs. Hopefully you have yourself a great week. Obviously, our immediate thoughts go to our friends down in Florida. And right now, our friends on the Carolinas as well. You know, that Charleston used to be home. For several years, for 5 years. That's where DX Central actually was launched, was when we were living in Charleston. So obviously our thoughts with them, but especially the folks in Florida, there on the southwest coast. Just unbelievable scenes, what we're seeing from this hurricane. You know, living in a coastal area for a good bit of my adult life, or even before that, you kind of get used to hurricanes and all of it, but then you see the stuff, the images of what they can do, and it kind of reminds you just what you're up against sometimes. So definitely hope that everyone down there in the Florida area, if you have an opportunity to make donations to help out with the folks down there, obviously we encourage you to do that. We're going to be looking at ways we can do that from our side as well. So it was a busy week from a DX standpoint. We had a lot of Cubans. Hold on a second. There's that one gone. Okay, we got him. We had a lot of Cuban stations off the air with the hurricane effects they had down there in Cuba and the nationwide blackout. So we did a couple streams this week talking about the stations in Cuba that were both on air and not. So we had a chance to bring you guys some of that live from here, because we've got a pretty good look down into Cuba from here in the New Orleans Southeast Louisiana area. Of course, tonight, again, we're going to be doing the medium wave frequency challenge, wrapping up week 1, starting week 2. The big thing, though, that I'm super excited about is that we're going to do something a little different this week. We've always kind of used our Perseus with the Jaguar software here, maybe the Elad with the SDR console. Last week, we introduced the Flex and the SmartSDR software for the first time. But I know I have gone on and on about how great the Airspy HF Plus Discovery is to anyone who will listen. And I've talked about it. I've used it a lot. I don't use it as much at home anymore. I use it mostly for my portable DX. But it is an amazing SDR. So tonight, we're actually going to devote our entire time to using the Airspy. So all the DX you're going to see tonight is going to be done through the Airspy HF Plus Discovery. We're going to be using SDR Sharp software, which is the native Airspy software for their SDRs. So we're going to give this thing a good shakedown live for AMDX tonight. So I want to bring up here on screen here for you guys. So if you're not familiar with the Airspy HF Plus Discovery, you can go to airspy.com and go to their website to get more information about it under the products area here. It's a fantastic SDR for AMDX. It is so okay, let me show you guys here. It's tiny, right? So this is I have 2 of them. I have one I use in the shack, and I also have this little one I use for portable DX. So you can see how tiny it is. As a basis of comparison, this is a remote control that I use for my my TV rotors for my antennas, and you can kind of see here the comparison of it. It's just a small, itty bitty little thing, and you wouldn't think that anything this size could perform as well as it does, but it really does. It's a fantastic SDR. I can't recommend it enough. So definitely check out airspy.com. You can get more information about the actual SDR itself. And they have some samples on here, some audio samples and things like that that you can listen to kind of hear how it works with things like the noise canceling and things along those lines, the code channel canceler, which we're going to talk about tonight, and more. There's some technical specs here that kind of give you an idea of what you're going to be using there, and things like that. So I highly recommend that you check out, if you are looking to get into SDRs, then I highly recommend you check out the Airspy. If you're not an SDR person just yet, that's fine. We still have love for our people using traditional radios. In fact, this month in the Spectrum Monitor magazine, I did a feature article. Let me zoom in here a little bit so you guys can see it better. I did a feature article for this month's Spectrum Monitor magazine, thespectrummonitor.com. Here is October 2022, and you'll see right here, buying the right AMDX portable. So I did a whole feature on not necessarily which portable is best, because that's always the question, right? Which portable is the best one for AMDX? And there's not really a good answer on that, but there is a list of criteria that we can work with to help us narrow that search down. So we talk a bit about that in the article. So I definitely recommend, if you're in the market for a portable or looking to maybe do an upgrade or just want to learn more about picking out a portable radio, check out the Spectrum Monitor. It's available for a single issue price here at $3, but you can also get a subscription, because I do write every couple months in the Spectrum Monitor on AMDX topics, and I highly recommend. It's not much for just a year, so definitely recommend that. We're getting close to a top of the hour alert here, guys, so let's go ahead and fire off the SDR Sharp software, and we're going to start doing some DX, and then I'm going to come circle back around and All right, there we go. Now we got audio. Thanks, guys, for the heads up on that. Yeah, this thing has USB stuff going on. I don't know what's up. So let's go 1160 is where we said we were going to go, right? Nice ID there from Dallas. I do feel a bit naked without my my Jaguar software. It's listed as a talk station here on medium wave list, but KBDT. That's who we just got an audio or air check from, or ID rather. Yeah, you should be able to hear me now. Yeah, it's such a difference DXing with Jaguar Pro without Jaguar. Yeah, heard the Caracol in there on 1170, which is good because I hadn't heard them yet this week. So we get to add them for the challenge, yeah. I'm gonna go do that right now. Before I forget. New one for the challenge. I've heard them before here. But not this week. Let's see, South America. What city is that? Cartagena. Colombia. See you, Shine. Thanks for coming by, man. Have a great gig. $1,664 miles. That's them right there, too. You got the Gump in there. Who was the high point? Is that also the Gump? I'm assuming that was. Sound like the same voice. Hey, Tom. All right, so there we go. We got 2 IDs out there. Actually, 3. We had KBDT on 1160. We had a KHz radio with their sounder. They were at the top of the hour out of Columbia on 1170, and the Gump WGMP in Alabama also they're on 1170. So we got 3. Even though I'm used to the Jaguar where I can rewind and change frequencies and then rewind back to the top of the hour live and do all that stuff while it's still recording. Can't do that here. But we still managed to get 3 IDs out, so that was pretty amazing. So including one new one for the challenge for me this week, which put me at, let's see, where would I be here? I think I'm at 19. Yep, 19, which I'll go ahead and tell you guys as a little preview, that ain't nowhere close to the top spot. So I've always kind of tried to, not compete, but kind of compare. There we go. That's a great word. Compare my results to what you guys are getting. And as long as I was usually pretty close to what everybody else was getting, I felt pretty good. I'm getting stomped this week. 19 ain't going to cut it. If you're wanting to get the top spot, you're going to have to come way above. You guys have gone after it this week. 355 responses as of right now, and we still have another, almost 2 full hours left before we change over and we close this week out and change over the new frequency. So, yeah, you guys are bringing it. Absolutely bringing it. So, kudos to you. You set a bar on week 1 that it's going to be tough to follow from here on out. So let's take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to dive in here into SDR Sharp. We're going to dive into this Airspy HF Plus Discovery and talk a bit about it and how great it is and how wonderful it is and what you can do with it on a budget. You can become a powerful DXer with one of these little guys. So we'll take a break. We'll come back and we'll talk more about the Airspy and the software right after this.
DX Central, because we're all about radio. Visit us at DX Central online. Check us out on YouTube. Search. DX Central Live is brought to you in part by...
From the pages of its DX Monitor member bulletin, members of the International Radio Club of America share their domestic and international AM/DX loggings. In its Mexican log, a wealth of information can be found of stations from south of the border. Technical guides, sunrise, sunset maps, and more make the IRCA a must-join for any AM/DXer. For more information, log on to ircaonline.org. That's ircaonline.org. While the HF bands can be filled with entertaining and intriguing transmissions, how do you know when and where to look? Let Teak Publishing's Global Radio Guide lead the way. In addition to its exhaustive list of time and frequency for international broadcasters, radio hobby icon Gail Van Horn brings you equipment reviews, an SDR buyer's guide, feature articles, and more. Pick up your copy today. Visit teakpublishing.com for more information. That's teakpublishing.com. Since 1933, the National Radio Club has been serving AMDXers while providing some of the most in-depth information in the hobby. From the annual NRC AM log, a must-have reference for domestic station information, to antenna design reference manuals, and of course, the DX News Member Bulletin, which is filled with station information updates, domestic and international loggings, and a whole lot more. Become a member today. For more information, log on to nationalradioclub.org. That's nationalradioclub.org.
Through crashes of static in quiet hours, we listen. In languages we can scarcely understand, and of places we have only visited in our dreams, we listen. Incessantly, we perfect our array of aerials, receivers, and resources. We refine our skills and our techniques so that we might listen. We are DX Central, and we're all about radio. Visit us at dxcentralonline.com or check us out on YouTube. Search DX Central.
Keep up with DX Central. Follow us on Twitter at DX Central.
From the DX Central North Shore Studios, this is DXC Live. Now here's your host, Lloyd Van Horn.
It's DX Central Live. We're not red anymore. There we go. Back to blue. Every Friday night at 18:45 Central Time and 23:45 UTC. Right here from the North Shore Studios in Mandeville, Louisiana. Right now on YouTube, but hey, we've got some things in the works to expand that a little bit. All right, so we talked a bit earlier that tonight we're going to be focusing on our Airspy HF Plus discovery. Diving into that and the SDR Sharp software, showing it off a little bit because it's a fantastic radio, and I feel like it deserves some time in the sun, as I said earlier. Somebody. So let's go ahead and dive into that now. Now, of course, obviously, this hour of Live DX is brought to you by the National Radio Club. NationalRadioClub.org is your website for more information by becoming a member of the NRC today. Got my most recent DX news in the mail the other day. Very happy about that. Oh, that reminds me. I have some business I need to attend to really quick before we get in here into the Airspy. I would be remiss and feel like a complete a-hole if I did not say thank you so much. I know some of you who are watching may have been a voter in the IRCA award here for the Rick Hild Award, and I am beyond humbled to be right there. Myself and Peter Law were named the award winner for this year for 2021-22. And Peter, actually, he's an editor, took over the international loggings column there in the IRCA. And so, I mean, he absolutely gets a huge kudos for that. I've done the column writing thing, but you know, being an editor throughout the entire DX season and compiling all those logs and putting all that out, that's a very that's an admirable thing that he's doing there, to take that on as a responsibility. So kudos, Peter, for you to do that. And again, thank you to anyone who voted. I really do appreciate it. It means so much to me to be even part of, even nominated. I never wanted to bring it up during the whole process. I didn't want to look like I was out there campaigning for votes or anything, because I'm not. It's completely organic, and I just really appreciate even being part of that. But to be, you know, there with Peter and named the award winner there, it really does. It means a lot. So thank you guys so much for that honor. And I will strive to continue to do what we've done here at DX Central, which is to continue to bring education and discussion and conversations around DX, AMDX, FMDX to keep it as part of the conversation in our community and also beyond. I want to bring our hobby out to other people who may not even realize that it's there. So that's one of my goals, is to turn more people on to AM and FMDX so that we all can benefit by having more people involved. Because, hey, if there's a big market for it, you get more commercially available things like antennas and radios and stuff like that, right? It's not as much DIY. It doesn't have to be as much DIY, which there's a certain element of the DIY I enjoy, but having those, preamps that you can go out and buy, or an antenna that you can go out and buy, or a radio or whatever, that's pretty awesome. So, all right, let's talk about the Airspy HF Plus Discovery. So I'm gonna bring it back over here on the website. It's airspy.com. Where's my there's my window. Okay, we lost it for a second there. Airspy.com is the website address. Make sure there was my microphone too. Okay. And so you can actually buy this from them directly. So you can go to here to purchase, and then there are some different options. If you're in the United States, I just usually use the airspy.us. I go there. There's some other options if you're in the UK or Australia or China, wherever you might be. But I usually use the airspy.us for my fulfillment for ordering. And you'll see here it is, let's see, they have several things that you can buy from them, including the Airspy HF Plus Discovery, $169 right now. They will bring them on sale for like Black Fridays, and they have randomly some other sales where they'll be just ridiculously cheap. That's how I got the second one, actually. It's from one of their sales. If you're on Twitter, I recommend that you follow our friend Youssef. He is let me see if I can find him here. Explore. If you're on Twitter, definitely follow. It's Lambda Prog. LAMBDA Prog. He is Airspy. This is his baby. So I highly recommend you follow him, because he'll be announcing when they do specials, new releases on the SDR Sharp software, firmware releases on the HF Plus Discovery Plus. I know he's working on some new stuff, which I'm very excited to see. So definitely, if you're on Twitter, give him a follow. Again, it's Lambda Prog, at Lambda Prog, for his insights into the world of SDRs, and he brings a lot of really great stuff to it. So yeah, you can definitely order from their website here. It's $169 US right now, and it's for that price. I mean, that's the price of like a decently good, or really good even portable radio. But with it, what do you get for that extra price? What do you get with an SDR? Well, number one is you get the ability to record, in this case, a good chunk of the band. Now that's one of the things that I'll say is one of the cons of the Airspy HF Plus Discovery, is it doesn't record the entire AM band. Okay. Some of the others, the Perseus, the Elad, way higher in price. Even the RSPDX, higher in price, will record the entire band. But I have not found that to be like a horrible thing, if I'm going to be honest with you. I mentioned it before, I use the Airspy whenever I do my portable DX. So like when I do a business trip or vacation or whatever, I bring this Airspy with me, and I will bring my little portable W6LVP loop with me, and my PVC frame fits nicely in the luggage, broken down and everything. And I'll just record the AM band in that location that I'm in. And what I usually do, since I can't do the entire thing, I'll usually do like the bottom part of the band one night, and the next day I do the top half, right? If I'm there for a couple of days. Or maybe I'll do like the bottom half for a couple hours if I'm only there one night, bottom half for a little while, and then I'll swap to the upper half, right? So there's stuff you can do there to kind of get around the fact that you can't do the entire band at once. And honestly, I have not found it to be a detriment to my DX. So there's that. I'll just go ahead and get that out of the way. That's the one con I can say, is that it doesn't record the entire band. I've talked about it with Youssef. He said it's basically a performance choice they've made to be able to maintain at this price point. the performance that you get from the Airspy. That's why the bandwidth is kind of where it's at. You know, for him to bump that up, there would be some sacrifices somewhere, either price or performance or something like that, to bump that up. And so I appreciate a designer who's looking out for the user like that, and making sure that it performs whatever bandwidth you're using there. You know, you're able to get it at an affordable price that gets more people a lower barrier of entry to SDRs, and it performs. I'm telling you, this thing is up there with my Perseus as far as performance. It's that good. It's really, really good. So what we have on screen here is SDR Sharp. It's the software that is the Airspy software. And let me switch over to camera 2 here, so I'll be kind of looking at this screen a bit. When you buy yourself an Airspy, the other thing you're going to want to make sure that you do is go to the download section of the Airspy website. They also, by the way, while I'm kind of here, kind of talking about Airspy, they have other products as well. They have Mini and things like that. So definitely check some of those out as well. But I'm a huge believer in the Airspy product line, especially this HF Plus Discovery. This was actually my first SDR. This is the HF Plus Dual that you saw on screen there for a second. This was my very first SDR. Got it in 2018. Loved it. And then when this one came out, the Airspy HF Plus Discovery, it was kind of an upgrade performance-wise for AMDX, so I kind of went with that. But once you do get that, you can use this SDR with other software such as SDR Console, HD SDR, things like that. But for what we're going to talk about tonight, we're going to be looking at the Airspy software, because Yusef does some amazing things here in this software. So you'll want to go to the download section, and then, oh, well, look at that. There's the Global Radio Guide from Teak Publishing, one of our sponsors, one of our folks who help bring DX Central Live to you. You may want to click on that and give that one a look. If you're interested in shortwave, there's AM stuff in there as well. You may want to give that a look. Wink, wink. So here is, they have the radio package here. You get your Airspy drivers, everything you need, all in one. They also do have this community plugins version as well, which has some extra things you can do in there, like a scheduler and stuff like that. So if you're, I would probably start with the basic radio package here, this first one, and then if you want to kind of upgrade, look at the plugins, but at least kind of get used to the interface. If you're new to SDRs, new to the software, start here, kind of thing. So download the software, and then once you do and you installed it, you'll install it on your your root of your hard drive, and then bring it up, and it's going to look similar to this. I've tweaked it a little bit here, but it's going to look very, very similar to this. And then once you have that in, let me show you kind of the path here of how this works. So from the computer, right, you have a USB cable. That USB cable has a micro USB on this side that goes to the radio, and then a USB type A that goes into your computer. It doesn't have to be a USB 3 port. I use USB 2.4. It works fine. On this side, you have an SMA connector. So you will need some sort of SMA connector to connect to your antenna. Now, for me, I have an outdoor CAS antenna outside. That's going to a window panel through RG8X feed line from the antenna to the window panel. Then from the window panel, I have another RG8X jumper that goes from there to my area over here where my antennas kind of come into my SDRs. And then I have a patch cable, basically. It is an SO239 to SMA adapter cable that plugs into the PL259 on my RG8X feed line that comes from the window panel. Then the SMA plugs in here to the Airspy. So what do you need to get started? Well, the USB cable comes with it, so you're good on the USB cable. You need an SMA adapter or some sort of SMA connection from your antenna, whatever you're going to be using, to this, okay? So if you're using a U-loop or another loop, when I do my DX portable, I have my feed lines on RG8X that comes out of the amplifier from my W6LVP loop. Then I have that SO239 to SMA adapter right into this. So if you're buying one of these, make sure you have some sort of way to connect whatever antenna you're going to be using to this via SMA, okay? And this is an SMA female, right? So you'll need an SMA male connection there. That also is the same here for like the HF Plus Dual as well, if you're going to use one of those. One of these is an HF, one of these is a VHF connection. Hold on a second. Let me get rid of those guys. Okay, I got rid of them. So once you've connected your Airspy to your computer or your laptop or whatever you're using, and you've downloaded the software, you've installed it, you get here. Okay, now what? Okay, how do I get that to work? All you have to do is go over here. You'll see a couple of boxes here. One of the boxes has a pull-down menu. It's called your source box here. One of them has a pull-down menu, and you'll just want to select your SDR from the pull-down menu. Now you can see here, SDR Sharp works with quite a few different kinds of SDRs. FunCube, RTL, SDR, the dongle, which we actually have one up here we're going to be talking about in a future episode of DX Central Live. But for our purposes today, we're choosing this HF plus dual discovery option. And that lets the software know what to go look for. And it has found that radio right here. It's got my serial number on there and everything. You'll see here there is a bandwidth sample rate selection. So the sample rate, basically, it defaults to 768 kilobytes per second. I bump it up to the full 912, and you'll see that gets me 725 kilohertz of bandwidth. Again, it's not the entire AM band. It's a big chunk of it, though, and I can do some pretty great work with that big chunk that I have. You'll see here we have an AGC, automatic gain control, on or off toggle. We have a preamp on or off. If you're going to need to attenuate your signal at all because of overloading concerns from strong stations in your area, like I have right now, this antenna I'm using is pointing directly at New Orleans, where there's WWL, there's a bunch of 5 and 10 kilowatters, that kind of stuff. So I do need to attenuate slightly. So you have to turn your AGC off, and then you have your HF attenuation down here that you can use to attenuate as much as you need to. Up to 42 dB is your high end of attenuation that you have there. If you are going to use AGC, you have a low and high threshold here. Then once you've done that, to get signals to come out of your radio, I've got it muted right now, but all you have to do is up here on the left-hand side, hit the play button, and there should be signals now flowing from your radio into your interface, right? Let me actually back this off just a little bit. It's a little hot. There we go. I'm gonna back that off a little bit there. All right, so a couple of little things I want to kind of make sure you guys understand as far as the lay of the land if you're new to SDRs. You have a little hamburger up here in the top left-hand corner, is what I call it, a little 3-stacker there. You have some menu options here. You can change your radio, which we already looked at that, and the radio things, which we're about to look at actually in a second. Your sources, we already looked at that. You have some AGC controls, your audio controls, your display controls. That's where you can like change the colors, because when you first load it up, it's not this color. It's like a bright, actually, let me see here. I think I've got some different themes I can try here. It's been running a little slow, which is one of the reasons why I'm upgrading my my PC. So you can just do these different themes. I like my dark themes because I don't want my... There's fluent dark. I don't want my eyes getting fried by looking at the brightness all day. So I usually use the dark theme for my purposes. And then over here on this display tab that I've opened up here, which I did, by the way, click on the hamburger, click display. If you look here where it says gradient, you have some options that you can choose from, like Sharp Classic, which is I think what it loads with, Sharp Spy, Sharp Arctic, which is pretty cool. No pun intended. We have a Moroccan sunset, and then you can also do a custom, which is what I've done. And this little 3 dots right next to it is where you can actually change the colors. You can make it whatever gradient scale that you want to do by adding it, deleting a color, moving it up or down. You just have to play with it to kind of get used to how it works, to kind of find the look that you're looking for. I'm actually going to go back here and make it easier for you guys to see the Sharp Classic. Actually, no. Let's do the Arctic. I like the Arctic. All right. So there is a quick tour of the display piece. So we've got signals coming in. Over here on this radio box right here, this is how you actually change things like mode, AM, upper, lower sideband, dual sideband. If you're going to be doing FM, you have your WFM for that. Things along those lines. Or if you're going to be listening to like amateur radio and things like that, you have your narrow FM, because this does cover the FM band and beyond. You also have some additional, what I kind of consider more advanced features here as well. One of those is this binaural. So binaural, I've talked about it before. It basically takes your lower sideband and puts it in your left ear, your upper sideband in your right ear. So it separates those out, and that helps because there are times when one of those is louder than the others for a signal. So I've heard many times where I'll hear something in lower sideband but not in upper. So that binaural actually puts it in here so I can hear both ears separately, individually. Really good for graveyard stations, by the way. Really good. When I did my SDR recording review from Omaha, the recordings I did back in April, I was almost exclusively using binaural, and it really helped a lot to be able to pick those out. And then if I had one, I was like, oh, I can hear it better over here, I'd go to upper sideband, and I'd be able to narrow and focus in on that and get rid of all the other stuff from the lower sideband side that wasn't helping any, right? So that's an option that you can use. Lock carrier does exactly what you think it is. It's kind of like synchronous detection, right? It locks in on that carrier, and then you have an anti-fading option that you can engage as well, like synchronous detection, so you can keep that signal locked in. It keeps it from fading in and out and things like that as much as possible. So those are some of the main kind of radio functions that you have. Now there is a whole host here of different things that you can engage in here on your SDR to really make it kind of sing. A lot of folks really love the noise reduction here in SDR Sharp. They rave about it, and I use it whenever I need to. So I've actually gone here to my hamburger and I clicked on that's actually audio noise reduction. Let me go to IF noise reduction. There it is. IF noise reduction, which I've actually kind of docked over here on the right hand side of the screen, which basically to do that, all you have to do, let's see if I can make it work. Come on. I'm trying to get it to, there we go. You see why I needed to upgrade my computer? Because it's sluggish. So when you open it, you can have it, it'll probably pop up over on the left hand side, but you can click and drag on the box and that'll kind of free float it here. And then what I like to do is I will click and drag it. You'll see these buttons pop up. If you're familiar with Virtual Studio, you'll kind of know what these are. But I click and drag it kind of where I want it. So I want this to dock on the right hand side. So I click and drag right over top of this little blue arrow over here on the right hand side, and I'll let go. And now it's going to dock it over here for me. So there we go. Now I've got my IF noise reduction docked over, along with an audio spectrum and some other tabs that come with it as well. There's my IF noise reduction. We'll demonstrate that here in a few minutes. Another one that as an AMDX you're going to probably be very, very interested in using is the code channel canceller for AM, which I have docked down here at the bottom of my my row on the left hand side. And you're also going to want this FFT micro tuner, which I've docked down here at the bottom. So you do as you see fit. You put the layout the way that you want it and how it makes the most sense to you. And then you can actually come over here to layout and save your layout, and then save it to your wherever folder you want to save it. Give it whatever name you want to, and that way you can load that back up later if for whatever reason you want to change between layouts. Like if you want to have one for AMDX and one for FMDX and one for shortwave, you can do that, right? All right. So I've given you the basic lay of the land of kind of what some of the different things that you may want to have in front of you might be. To change frequencies, all you have to do is you can do it a couple different ways. Probably the easiest way I found is you hover over these numbers, and there's an upper half and a lower half on these numbers. If you click on the lower half, it goes down 1. If you click on the upper half, it goes up 1. You can also use your scroll wheel on your mouse to scroll over an individual number, and that will change it by 1 that way as well. As you can see here, I'm just scrolling on my mouse. If you don't want to have to hover over the number, you can also use this step feature right here, and you can hover over anywhere in the spectrum here, the spectrum display on the top, and you can roll your scroll here, and it'll also change those frequencies. Right now I'm on a 1 kilohertz step, but let's say I change that to 10 kilohertz. And now I'm going by 10 kHz and moving about the band nice and efficiently. You can also do obviously by 9 as well, things like that. So that's how you change frequencies. You'll probably it'll start you off when you first download it up in the FM portion of the band. So what I usually have found that is easy, I think it's like 101.9, I think is where it usually starts. What I have found for me is the easiest way, if you ever end up on an FM frequency, to get back down to AM. You can do like a band plan and some favorites and things like that, but I basically will just go over here, put that at like 101.2, and then just get rid of the 10 and go right to 1200, and then kind of go from there. That's just a little tip that I can give you, what I usually use. There are other things you can do to use like favorites and band plans and stuff like that, but that's how I usually navigate. Okay, so now we're ready to rock and roll. You ready to hear this thing and actually use it? So we talked about it. We talked about how you can use it, where things are located, how it kind of lays out. Let me talk a little bit about some of the features that we've enabled here. So let me start with the micro tuner. The micro tuner, as you can kind of see down here, gives us visibility into, I'm going to zoom in here. If I click on zoom and then click and drag my slider here, I'm going to zoom in, and it'll zoom in both on the spectrum display up top and on the waterfall below. And I can get really tight in here, but if I'm wanting to look at individual offsets, if you hear people talk about offsets, when I first learned about this, I think it was about 2 years ago when I first started kind of learning about offsets. You think about, we're on 1170. You think, if I'm hearing a station, they're transmitting on 1170. Not necessarily. They may be transmitting on 1169.94 or 1169.98 or 1170.2, right? There are offsets from that main frequency, and every transmitter is a little bit different. Sometimes that offset will veer, and they'll actually change. You can actually sit and watch it. That offset starts off on 1170.3 and it comes back down to 1170.1, maybe 1169.9, and then it's back around again, right? There's a little variance. The FCC allows for that. International stations, Colombians are notoriously off freak, which is actually awesome because it makes them easier to spot. Usually the Cubans, for whatever reason, you think Cuban transmitters are not great, and sometimes they're not, because you're usually, very dirty modulation, but they're on frequency. If it's 1180, it's 1180. So I've zoomed in here. What the micro tuner allows me to basically do is see those offsets. And then once I'm using like my co-channel canceller, which we'll look at here in a moment, I can use these offsets to kind of basically pick what station I want to listen to. And it gets rid of everything else. It's amazing. It's amazing. With my Jaguar, I can tune in on an offset. I can say, give me that one on 1169.98, right? And it'll go there, but I've still got all this stuff off to the side. With the co-channel canceller that I have here in SDR Sharp and the micro tuner, I can say, go to that one on 1169.98, and it goes there, and it gets rid of everything else. It's amazing. It focuses in on that one offset that I'm looking for. So it's a really awesome way to zero in on stations that you're trying to hear and get rid of the stuff that you don't want to hear, right? And probably, I know I'm going off of our medium wave frequency challenge range here for a second, but probably the best example that I can think of is on 1510 kilohertz. This is where I first played with the AM co-channel canceller. Here in the US, you guys know we have WLAC, 1510 WLAC. It's the primary station here on this frequency on 1510. And it's a big one, right? It kind of dominates the frequency, dominates the lay of the land. However, I have a station down in Ecuador that I would like to be able to tune in. And let me go over here and pull them up, talk about them. I'm using medium wave list here. They're a quick and easy list. I go to 1510. I'm going to scroll down to Ecuador. You see Radio Monumental right here, right? And if I talk about those offsets, if I click on this offsets link right here, I'll actually see all of the reported offsets that DXers have reported for all the different stations on the frequency. And I can find Radio Monumental. Their known kind of average is 1509.9887. It ranges anywhere reported between 985 and 1510.27. But 9887, and you'll see WLAC. If I scroll down to them, let's see what their reported one is. 1510.0006. So they're pretty dead on, usually. they may veer a little bit, but monumental is typically going to be down below them, right? So if you have, as long as you have enough separation, you have a little bit of separation between monumental that you want and LAC that you have, you can use the code channel canceller to get rid of the one you don't want, which in this case, I want to get rid of WLAC. So let me go over here to 1510 and let me show you how this works. We're going to put it in the DSB mode. I'm going to go to lock carrier. Okay, lock carrier needs to be enabled. Let me unmute.
$1,600, which we say $1,000. So you're even $600.
So there's WLAC coming in nice and strong, right?
I think she pays it all.
But you can hear a station underneath them. Could be Mexico, could be Ecuador. Let's take a look and see if we can figure it out.
On pursuing.
So I've got my carrier locked.
She's working retail, making $18 an hour.
I'm going to go down to my AM code channel canceller.
I could get back to insurance. How many times can we hear that?
And I got 2 checks here. I've got remove carrier and I've got auto tune. Let's just go ahead and engage it here.
Live like this,
yeah.
and then all of a sudden they get promoted, get new jobs.
It just got rid of WLAC. And you can play with these sliders a bit. You can bring it up. And my advice is just kind of play with it a bit. Change some of the different settings, see what you can do. Now, we're still, actually, we're a little early here for Ecuador. But they're there. Now I can double click on my offsets to try to bring them in a little bit. And then another thing I can do is I can actually enable my noise reduction. And if they were a little bit louder out of Ecuador, I could probably increase that threshold a bit more and really wipe it all out. But again, I'm going to undo the code channel canceller. Let's bring in LAC again. Unreal, huh? We'll use another example here in a moment. My dog is out moving around. There's an offset right about there. That music is probably Ecuador. It's either them or Mexico. If I had a little bit stronger signal. Again, it's a little early, and I could probably actually... Hold on. I hadn't dialed in my vactrol yet. Let me do, I forgot about that. Let me dial in my vactrol. Try to get rid of Nashville as much as I can anyway. So here's my vactrol, getting rid of Nashville to the north. Yeah, still a little weak. You can hear it though. I can hear the music and the singing and stuff. So let's try another frequency. Let's go to 1240. I know we're getting close to the top of the hour here. Let's jump to 1240. Let's do a graveyarder. Let's try 1450. I want to find one with some good signals here. 1490. And you'll see the micro tuner down here at the bottom start to bring stuff up a bit. Getting rid of that one now. I can pull them back in a little bit. There's just so many signals here on 1490. It's sometimes it has a little hard time kind of sorting through them when you have that many. Even just the noise reduction. Here's just the noise reduction. Let's just talk about that. Right? Now let me put this on, I think let's put that on upper sideband here. I've removed there we go. I've locked into the carrier. Look at that noise reduction. Let me take off the noise reduction. Now I engage in noise reduction. And you have some different ones we can choose here. Pretty incredible, isn't it? Let me swap to lower sideband. Oh, the dog wants to come play. I'm gonna put it back up on upper. I think I had a better signal on upper sideband. Now, I've never played with this notch filter, but let's try it out, see if we can get rid of that head, shall we? I've never played with the notch filter here, so this is going to be a new one. Once it loads up. Hey, James. This is why I'm upgrading my video card. And my memory. Is because of this stuff right here. It doesn't play well when I have the streaming software and an SDR program trying to do processing intensive things like this. Hey, Danny. Still loading that notch filter. See if I can close it. But anyway. Rob says the notch filter is fantastic. Yeah, I haven't played with it much here. Boy, it has bogged this down, hadn't it? Ay. It doesn't do this when you're just using it. At least mine doesn't. This is a product of me trying to stream and do this at the same time. So we have a question here in the chat. Someone who kind of traditionally uses more portable radios, regular kind of desktops and things like traditional radios, wants to know for SDRs, can that work with a C-Crane dual-core ferrite antenna? I've not used that particular antenna. I know it's usually one of those you have to tune to the frequency, I believe, right? It has a little knob you tune and say I'm on 750, so you tune it to 750, you get your peak. Traditionally, no, I mean, you can use it with an SDR. You can absolutely do that if you're wanting to DX kind of traditionally one frequency at a time. But if you want to, record like the entire band or a big chunk of the band and then review it later on, that antenna is not going to give you the best performance because it's going to tune to that one frequency, and depending on how sharp that null is, how sharp that, Sorry about that. We got off frequency there. Depending on how sharp that tune is, it might give you a pretty narrow bandwidth. And if you're trying to record like the entire band, you want a wide bandwidth. So you need a kind of a broadband antenna, which is where things like magnetic loops that you use outdoors that are not tunable loops, but like a regular magnetic loop, like a W6LVP or a Wellbrook, they're more broadband. Which is great because you get a wider spectrum, but obviously the great thing with a tunable loop is you're tuning into that one frequency, you get your best signal there. Like I'm actually in the process of building an FSL, a ferrite sleeve loop antenna, and it is a tunable antenna. So I'm going to be tuning to it. I can't use it with an SDR for broadband use. So I think that's the main thing, is if, depending on how you're wanting to use it, are you DXing at one frequency at a time? And kind of focusing in on, like right now I'm on 1490, so I want to focus on 1490. I tune it to that. I set up my recording to record on 1490. I want a high resolution recording of just that frequency, because I'm chasing a particular station, like a DX test or whatever it might be. Yeah, absolutely. But if you're wanting to widen that berth out a bit to more frequencies, then it's probably not the best bet for that. So anywho, I had to close the notch filter because it was just causing my computer to freak out with the streaming software. So hopefully that gives you an idea of what you would like to do here. So with this SDR Sharp software, you can go in there and eliminate pest stations, or stations you don't want to hear, and replace them with stations you do. So there. Turn off my noise reduction. Go back to my DSB. I'm not hearing there anyway, am I? In DSB, I'm not hearing WLAC there. I think I got a nice null on the backside with my my CAS. All right, let's dip back down. We're getting close to the top of the hour alert here. Let's dip back down to our frequency range here. Let's do 1210. I've been chasing some stuff on 1210 this week, so let's go to 1210, and I'm gonna put it in AM mode here for now, and I'm gonna do the binaural and lock carrier on it so we can get some nice synchro going on this one. So let's go ahead and do a top of the hour alert. And we're going to do 1210. And this hour of Live DX is brought to you by IRCA, International Radio Club of America. IRCAonline.org is where you want to go for more information about membership today. Let's go down to 1210 and see what we got. The X-Dog decided she wanted to make an appearance. Say hey, Willow. Hey, everybody. Hey, everybody. I like the DX. Anybody catch an ID on that one? Hey, Justin! Like for this Latin station to ID. Now I have hair all over me. So I need to mention our friend Justin here, UB Studios. He does a live stream as well, live DX session. So kudos to you, my friend, for your live stream. I love it. I want more people to do live stream, live DX. That's how, again, we bring this hobby to more people. Justin just got himself a brand new SDR. Very excited for him. Got himself an SDR Play RSP2. I won't mention how he got it. I don't want to embarrass the person who it was gifted to him. I'm not going to mention who it was though, unless Justin wants to say it in the chat. Go ahead. But it was gifted to him by a fellow DXer. He has been using an RTL SDR dongle, which are great. We'll demonstrate them here at what they do, but they are prone to overload and things like that. And you know, the low end of the band is not great and things along those lines. So he's been struggling with his SDR a bit. Now he has a proper, real, great SDR. So I'm looking forward to seeing what you hear, my friend, on that new one. You're gonna love it, Justin. You're gonna love it. clicked the button and it went away. There we go. Can you guys hear the SDR? Okay, sweet. You guys are saying 1210 was Cuba. Sancti Spiritus is my guess. We've heard them here before. Oh, did y'all hear the time pips in there? I didn't hear them here. That noise reduction is just amazing. All right, so here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna take a quick break because we're now 8 after. A quick break, and we're gonna get ready to introduce our new frequency of the week for Medium Wave Frequency Challenge Week 2. So we'll be introducing that when we come back. We'll also have our tweet of the week. So we make sure that we give a shout out to our DXC tweet of the week, and we'll continue to DX here on our Airspy HF Plus Discovery and SDR Sharp. Definitely don't judge SDR Sharp and the Airspy performance based on what you're seeing on my computer right now, because again, with the streaming software and all the video processing happening on my processor and all the audio processing happening on my processor and everything else, it doesn't like it. But I'm about to move the video processing at least to a separate video card. I may do a sound card as well, just to move all that to a sound card. See if that works any better. Get as much off the processor as I possibly can. And I'm also going to double my memory, so we'll see. Let's do a quick break. When we come back, we'll have more live DX for you here, including our new Medium Wave Frequency Challenge for the week. Stay tuned. Let's go with this one.
DX Central, because we're all about radio. Visit us at DX Central Online or check us out on YouTube. Search DX Central Live is brought to you in part by...
Since 1933, the National Radio Club has been serving AMDXers while providing some of the most in-depth information in the hobby. From the annual NRC AM log, a must-have reference for domestic station information, to antenna design reference manuals, and of course, the DX News Member Bulletin, which is filled with station information updates, domestic and international loggings, and a whole lot more. Become a member today. For more information, log on to nationalradioclub.org. That's nationalradioclub.org. While the HF bands can be filled with entertaining and intriguing transmissions, how do you know when and where to look? Let Teague Publishing's Global Radio Guide lead the way. In addition to its exhaustive list of time and frequency for international broadcasters, radio hobby icon Gail Van Horn brings you equipment reviews, an SDR buyer's guide, feature articles, and more. Pick up your copy today. Visit teaguepublishing.com for more information. That's teaguepublishing.com. From the pages of its DX Monitor Member Bulletin, members of the International Radio Club of America share their domestic and international AMDX loggings. In its Mexican log, a wealth of information can be found of stations from south of the border. Technical guides, sunrise, sunset maps, and more make the IRCA a must-join for any AMDXer. For more information, log on to ircaonline.org. That's ircaonline.org.
Through crashes of static in quiet hours, we listen. In languages we can scarcely understand, and of places we have only visited in our dreams, we listen. Incessantly, we perfect our array of aerials, receivers, and resources. We refine our skills and our techniques so that we might listen. We are DX Central, and we're all about radio. Visit us at dxcentralonline.com or check us out on YouTube. Search DX Central.
Keep up with DX Central. Follow us on Twitter at DX Central.
From the DX Central North Shore Studios, this is DXC Live. Now here's your host, Lloyd Van Horn.
DX Central Live from the North Shore Studios here in Mandeville, Louisiana. I don't want to move that camera. As soon as I do, it's gonna freeze. So we'll just do this. We're gonna do some more live DX. We're also gonna get ourselves ready for the medium wave frequency challenge for week 2. Make our announcement for that. But before we do that, I want to do a quick shout out for our tweet of the week.
It's time for the DX Central Live hashtag tweet of the week. Tweet. Tweet, tweet.
So a big shout out to Sean Kutsko from KX9X. He was actually here earlier on the live stream with us, and I think he had a gig tonight. He's a drummer. So I think he had a gig tonight, so he had to get over to his gig. But he nominated our DXC tweet of the week. And that is from our friend Justin, UB Studios. In addition to getting an RSP due, he's had a great week. In addition to that, and I think he's watching a police chase right now, which is also cool. He also logged KLOK 1170 from San Jose, California, from his location in Minnesota. Using an RTL SDR and SDR Sharp software, he was able to hear them around 11 o'clock Central Time back on the 27th. From Minnesota all the way to California. Good job. Good job, Justin. Outstanding. Here in California, anywhere on this line that we're kind of here in the central part of the U.S., That's an impressive feat. So good job, my friend. Congrats on California there and KLOK. And congrats on being named this week's DXE Tweet of the Week.
It's time for the DX Central Live hashtag Tweet of the Week. Tweet. Tweet, tweet.
So, in honor of our friend Justin and his tweet of the week and his catch of getting California, and I saw some other folks mention they heard like Encyclopedia and Musical International or Musical Nacional out of Cuba this week for the first times when they came back on the air. And some other stations that were heard for the first time this week. I had one. Where's my logbook? Where'd it go? I had one this week. It wasn't anything crazy exotic, but WKFL, Bushnell, Florida, on 1170. Got that one for the first time here in Mandeville. I heard them when I was in Charleston, but I hadn't heard them here. They were playing Kenny Chesney, and it was parallel their online stream along with the little mix they were doing with the Gump there on 1170. Also, finally got an idea out of WCFO, East Point, Georgia, on 1160 with EWTN. So, in honor of those folks who got themselves a new log for the week, you know, like what we do here, right? It's a new log, yeah! So congrats to Justin and all of you who had new logs this week. If you also got a new state or a new country, let us know in the chat. We'll make sure we celebrate that with you as well. So we've been doing a little DX here on our 1160 to 1220 range, actually 1224. And obviously I wanted to make sure that we included that 1224 so that our friends in Europe and Asia and around the world can be part of the DX as well and be part of the medium wave frequency challenge on those 9 kilohertz split frequencies. So all year this year, we're going to make sure, whether we're doing a single frequency or a range, that we find a way to incorporate those 9 kilohertz frequencies as well, so that our friends in Europe and Asia and down under and elsewhere around the world can have their fun as well and be part of it. And I think it's also fun because those folks who are able to hear transoceanic DX, especially our coastal folks on the East Coast and West Coast, they have a shot at adding some stuff that the rest of us may not be able to get, right? So, you know, if you're up Newfoundland, Nova Scotia, hopefully you guys are okay after the storm hit you. A lot of storms this week. If you're Pacific Northwest, Bruce Portzer, Patrick Martin, Gary DeBach. If you're Paul Walker up in Alaska, and you got a shot at hearing Japan or China on the regular, we're going to make sure that you can have your fun here in the medium wave frequency challenge as well this year. So that's something we're going to continue to do the rest of the year as well. So it's time, I think, for us to announce our frequency of the week, shall we? Okay, so we've been doing 1160 to 1224. And we're going to continue that. So you can continue to submit logs that you've heard since last Friday to this Friday up until 0200, which is coming up here very soon, right? Yeah. So up to 0200 UTC, you can continue to submit logs for the 1160 to 1224. We're going to open up here. Let me make a change. I need to update the form, the Google form for our new frequency, because I had it starting at 0200, but I'm going to start at 0100. I'm going to make an executive decision here on that. We're going to start at 0100 UTC, so we can go ahead and start DXing it now. So let's go ahead and announce this week's medium wave frequency challenge for week 2, starting right now. All right, 670, 702. There we go. 670 to 702 kilohertz. Again, we're incorporating that range because there are some frequencies in here that don't have a lot of stations, right? So I didn't want it to be like we got 12 logs, because 12 DXers got a log each. No, I want there to be some more in here, right? 670, 680, 690, 700. There's not a lot on some of those frequencies. And again, I also want to make sure we incorporate those middles, those 9 kilohertz frequencies, so that our friends outside of the U.S. can also have fun, and our U.S. friends who can hear those outside of the U.S. can have fun too. So 670 to 702 is our new frequency of the week. I'm going to drop the Google form link here in just a few moments into the chat. That way you guys can get started. Of course, I'll be announcing on Twitter and Facebook, email threads, all that kind of stuff here in just a bit. But, hey, Justin, yeah, perfect timing for you, right? Something down low, a chance for you to give the new SDR a chance to shine. So let's go down. Let's start on 670. Now, I have not heard a lot here in Mandeville on 670. I've heard Radio Rebellion, and I've heard Radio Rebellion, and I've heard Radio Rebellion. Oh, and I've also heard Chicago. That's it. I've heard 2 stations on 670. 680, I've heard a little bit more there. So that's been a little bit better. 690, we have a local station here in New Orleans on 690. So that's going to be fun. And 700, obviously, for just about everybody, is WLW in Cincinnati. Or I forget what the one out west is on 700 that people get to hear. So yeah, 670 to 700. And then on those 9 kilohertz splits, I know there's some fun stuff in there as well. I think there's a Japan station in there on 693. There's a bunch on 693. There's London, New England on 693 for our East Coast folks. I think there's some Japan or Korea, maybe a Down Under. I don't remember the Trans-Pacific stuff very well on 693. So there's a lot of opportunity for a lot of really cool DX this week from our friends all around the world. So let's start with 670, and let's just see what we hear. Why not? And again, we're pointing south. And you folks are going to get a jump on everybody else. By being here as part of the stream, you get to hear this first, what frequencies we're using. You get first dibs. You get the early jump on everybody else. And week 1 form is still going to be open until 0200, by the way. 0200 UTC. We'll keep that open. Oh, and one more little piece of housekeeping. I know last week I mentioned we have an interview in the can that we've been sitting on with Bruce Portzer from the IRCA. That's still coming. I still have editing to do on it to get everything kind of condensed and ready for broadcast here on the stream, as well as putting up on YouTube. So hope to have that done soon. I've been working on it this week whenever I had a few moments, but obviously with some computer things and everything else going on, it's been kind of tricky. So we'll be getting that done here pretty soon, but I'll make sure to announce it. The interview with Bruce Portzer from the IRCA, that is forthcoming. I'm going to wager this is the Radio Rebellion that we're hearing.
Bueno, ellos están sin fluido eléctrico en su teléfono. Bueno, depende también del fluido eléctrico, así que vamos para la tercera pregunta. Entonces, bien cero esa segunda pregunta. Sí, bueno, vamos a ver si ellos pueden contestarla, si no, pues... Bueno, Marcelo, lo dice hoy que a partir de ahora nos mantenemos con 2 peñas, porque bueno, realmente no tienen la posibilidad de responder y...
I wonder if we can get rid of them.
Así que puede dar las preguntas para las 2 peñas. participaron en el béisbol de Puerto Rico del año 76 y quién fue el equipo campeón. Los países que tuvieron, no puede decir los países mucho mejor, pero por lo menos decirme qué cantidad de países fueron al béisbol en Puerto Rico en el año 76. Y en el número, lo vemos que le damos el punto a y así 1970, Panamá, fue la sede del Grupo Internacional. ¿Cuántos países participaron?
I know why I wasn't getting those offsets to tune. Didn't have my micro tuner enabled. It'll teach me. I don't see any offsets here for me to look at. No, there might be something here. Hold on. Dog's back in her bed. You'll see down here at the bottom, it doesn't really show very well in the stream, it looks like. Underneath here, there are some lines of different offsets and signals and things like that. So that's what I can use to kind of zero in on what I'm trying to do. Ay, ay, ay. Don't have much here but Rebeldy, which is probably why I've only heard 2 stations here. Right about there. All right, let's try 680 now. A little bit more for us to look at. Oh, I know why that's there, because that's... That's why. That's what was wrong. So now let me try this again, getting rid of Rebellion. I didn't have my AGC on. You can definitely tell I don't use this interface a whole lot. I'm so used to the Jaguar.
Tú que le han ganado todos los últimos años.
And you can actually see right here, it tells you where it's tuned, what offset it's doing. So you can actually just click on these different offsets and see what's there. Doesn't look like there's much there. Let's go to 680. I've got a wicked powerful logo. You know what? Let's just skip to that. I've got a local station here. This is how I'll demonstrate this co-channel canceller. I've got a local station here on 690 here in New Orleans. We're gonna get rid of them and see what's underneath, shall we? You think I can do it? You think I can get rid of the local station? Gone. Let's try one of these other offsets here. So there's another station there. Again, I want to remind you guys, this is what I had. Ah, Bill, that's a good one. A new frequency's a new station, right? Log them both. So you have your daytime on 680, your nighttime on 690. I think that's fair. And that's just such a powerful signal. We're getting, that's why we're getting further away.
Amen.
So yeah, that's, you can see I can get rid of them. I don't have a lot underneath. There's on 690, I think we've got a station down in Mexico, if I remember right. Which one was it? Is it XENR. I want to say XEN. That's who it was. XEN, Mexico City, 100K day, 5K night. So they're the ones that we usually can get when we don't have our local on 690. 700. We go upper sideband here to try to get away from that slop. Obviously, WLW is usually what we find here. But I don't have them very much here. Well, I am on the south wire. Likely Columbia coming in here. There's WLW. So there's WLW. Let's get rid of him. You have to be in DSB so you can get rid of both sidebands. Gone, though. So yeah, we're doing 670 to 702, and anything in there. Put the Google form link in the chat over here for everybody to jump onto. Again, you guys get to jump on everybody else here, so that you can start DXing before they do. Because we'll be announcing this on our Twitter feed. As well as on Facebook and whatnot here in a bit after the stream is over. Of course, if you are wanting to follow us on Twitter, there you go, twitter.com/DXCentral. All right, let's do something a little fun here. Let's go back up to 1510. I know it's out of our range of our frequencies for the week, but I just want to go back up to 1510 again here. And I want to look and see if we have Ecuador coming in yet.
Well, what other stats? Okay, so how much do you have left on the car?
There's about 20 on it.
Okay. What other stats do you have?
Once I get it, that's it. My current, just my...
Would you believe, Keegan, I haven't heard KSEV until yet. When I was here in New Orleans originally, I heard him. When I was in San Antonio, obviously, I heard him. But I haven't heard him here from Mandeville yet. Weird. I don't know why.
Once I move up there, it will be 62, 63.
Okay.
How much cash do you have in the bank right now?
Just very minimum. I think it's about 1,000. I was just trying to attack that car, so that's why I'm kind of holding off on that.
money saved. Car and to buy your trucking tab. After selling some cars you may get here in the next few months, putting some money together and get maybe a crappy trust fund to last you if you need to, and then we can move up from there. But cash flowing off of it as soon as possible would be critical.
Here we go. Found him. I don't think it's Ecuador, but I don't know who that Stevie Wonder station is. That's what I was thinking too, Barry. Yeah, that's what I was thinking was probably them. That got rid of him. All right, so yeah, we're checking out right now 1510. I'm just kind of playing around with the settings. It's been a while since I've used this co-channel canceller, so I don't remember exactly how to dial it in 100%. There they are. That's XEQI. All right. So there is that's, and we've kind of played around with it tonight. The Airspy HF Plus Discovery, the SDR Sharp software. I think it's worth mentioning here that there are SDR Sharp software is the native software for Airspy, but there are other options as well. So if you wanted to branch out from the SDR Sharp software, you lose some of the functionality, you lose some of the noise reduction that Yusuf and team have put together in SDR Sharp. You lose some of like the co-channel canceller, but there are other software pieces that you can use. For instance, let's go to SDR Console. Tonight's beverage, a little Captain and Coke. It's kind of the unofficial sponsor of DX Central, I think, is Captain Morgan. So you just pull up your SDR, your Airspy here in console. There we go. So now I'm gonna go back up here, down here rather, to 670. And we're gonna center our frequency on that.
Ustedes van a trabajar fundamentalmente con los posibles atletas de la primera categoría.
Sí, aquí muchos atletas son de la primera categoría, la cual ya van a empezar a partir de
There we go, that's better.
su inicio de entrenamiento para la competencia provincial.
It does. Good point. Rob mentions that the co-channel canceller also works if you're doing a recording. So you can do a recording, get the broadband recording there overnight or whatever, sunset, whatever, and you do have the ability to record those broadbands. There's a plugin that even lets you schedule them, and then you can use that co-channel canceller after the fact as well. So that's also there. This is SDR Console. Again, another option that you can use with the Airspy HF Plus Discovery. Some things about SDR Console that I like the interface a little bit better, personally, me. I'm a big fan of their scheduling interface that they have here. So you'll see, I have a video here on the YouTube channel about actually how to do these schedules and how to set it up. But you can actually schedule these recordings very easily to happen overnight or in the mornings or whatever you want to do, start and stop time and everything. You can schedule this very easily here in Console. You do lose the co-channel canceller. You have some other things though. They have pretty good noise reduction here in SDR Console as well. I feel like it's pretty solid. And then I like the interface. I love the interface for playback. So when you have recorded a file, then being able to go back over and kind of navigate through that to do your review, I feel like is very easy in SDR Console. So definitely one that I've enjoyed over the years. But when I do my portable DX, I'm able to get through actually this over here. I'm not sure if you guys can see it right now. This right here, this is my Surface Pro 6. I have SDR Console pulled up. A recording that I did with my Airspy HF Plus Discovery. This was from the Outer Banks, and I'm doing a little review of the recording. And it's super easy to do. So that's one of the big pluses, I feel like. Another one that I like with SDR Console. What's JT Alert doing? Opening up. Did I accidentally click on that? Another thing that I really like about SDR Console, if you're wanting to do like pull out a little video of an air check or an audio of an air check. I also have a video about this on the website. You can do those very easily. I have a video actually on reviewing SDR recordings within SDR Console. So go check that out as well. We talk about that, how to pull out video, how to pull out audio, to save like an MP3 of your air check, or if you have like an unidentified you need some help with, how to make either a video or an air check of those. So yeah, SDR Console is pretty groovy, pretty great. Another one that I'm a fan of, and I use SDR Console from time to time with my Perseus, my Elad, the Airspy, RSPDX. It works with just about everybody. Another one that's pretty popular, here it is, HD SDR. It has been a long time since I used this software. So let me see, what radio am I even using here? It's using, I think it's on my Perseus, maybe. But you can, is that it? Yeah, I think it's my Perseus that it's running right now. You can run it with an Airspy. I haven't loaded the Airspy in here before, I don't think. But you can definitely load it in here, and then you see, go back over here. God, it's been so long since I've used this one. There we go. So yeah, this is another interface you can use. They also have, let me pull that audio down. They also have a scheduler. There it is. Recording settings and scheduler. So they also have a scheduler here that you can use to set up a schedule to record overnight or in the morning or whatever with an HD SDR. So this is another one that you can use with the Airspy and other SDRs. So that's the cool thing I like about SDRs is you aren't limited to just one interface. You can use whichever one works best for you. You can use the SDR Sharp, you can use HD SDR, you can use SDR Console. I don't have my RSP-DX plugged in my SDR Play, but there's also SDR Uno, which works with that. So there are some different options. Obviously, with my Perseus that I have, that is this one. So this is the native software that comes with the Perseus. So this is the native software for Perseus. I usually use this for for DX tests and stuff. I don't use it a lot for DX. You guys know what I use for DX, which is the Jaguar software that I use exclusively with my Perseus. There are a couple of reasons why I use the Jaguar software. Number one is I feel like the audio is a little smoother. I feel like it's a little more, it's easier, I feel like, and I may be wrong, but I feel like it's easier to pull out IDs using the audio filters that are here within Jaguar. I feel like it's the designers fine-tuned it for AM DXing. So I use, for that reason, I use it for the station list as a starting point for identifying. I spend most of my time looking at the maps so that I can see kind of where the sunset line is if I'm doing sunset or sunrise DX, I'm sorry, the gray line. I also can kind of get an idea of what stations might be nearby that I could be hearing. It helps me kind of narrow it down a little quicker, especially when I'm kind of looking at, okay, who do we have down here in Central or South America if I'm pointing south. It's also really, really great for recording and reviewing. I've mentioned many times before, like it's always recording an 8-minute loop at all times. And then when it gets done with that first 8-minute loop, if you haven't saved it, it goes back and starts over and records a whole new fresh one. But, you know, if I'm sitting there like, what did he say? I can rewind it and go back and I can be like, oh, hey, that was an ID. I can hit record and save it so I can keep that. So there's some things here in Jaguar that I'm a really, really big fan of, that I like a lot as opposed to some of the other software that's out there. But for the Airspy, that SDR Sharp software with the code channel canceller, with the noise reduction and some of the other things that you have available to you, it's really hard to beat. I mean, it's really, really hard to beat, especially, like I said, $169 There it is. So, sorry, guys. Sorry. So, yeah, we are finishing up here. 670 to 702 for this week's medium wave frequency challenge. I'm about to close the form 41160 to 1224. I know who that is. There you go.
I wish our country worked like a football locker room because people from all kinds of backgrounds, all kinds of religious creeds are able to find a way to come together and work toward a common goal. And the unfortunate part about that is that gets lost when we see what happened with Tua, knowing that the Miami Dolphins and the NFL had personnel in place to guard against this very thing. That's the part that's frustrating with Greeny.
Chris Canty today with Greeny on SDR Radio. Patriots will be without quarterback Mac Jones for Sunday's Week 4 matchup on the road against the Green Bay Packers. Jones right now is dealing with a severe high ankle sprain. Brian Hoyer will start at quarterback for the Patriots. Chargers receiver Keenan Allen is going to miss Sunday's game against the Houston Texans. He is facing the Rangers with a hamstring injury. Nice for Henry when he's working here with a 3-run lead.
It's amazing. May have to do that. Actually. I've got some Latin music in there, but I'm bouncing back and forth between WMFS Memphis with ESPN Radio, and here's WCNN, the fan in Atlanta with the Braves game. But I do hear a Latin station in there as well that I would absolutely love to be Puerto Rico, but I'm sure it's not them. There are no Cubans on this frequency, which is nice. I would also like it to be Radio Zamba. I've heard them before when I was in Charleston, out of Dominican Republic, but I haven't heard them since. So we got WCNN, North Atlanta, the Braves game. Got that one for the challenge this week. Got WMFS Memphis already. So already two. Not bad. I know there's Rebellion waiting. There's my local, and then whatever we can get on 700 WLW, maybe Columbia. So got a couple here. I'm not anticipating a huge number of logs this week for each person, but maybe we can get a nice little smattering. I'm going to go ahead and close out week number 1. We're at 362 responses, 362 logs submitted for week 1, 1160 to 1224. So we'll see probably a significantly smaller number for week 2. But week 1 finishing strong. Just a really quick look. We got some Canadians, Colombians, Cuba, Mexico, U.S. We do have a UK log in here. We have Algeria, UAE, Slovenia, Romania. All right. We got some good international stuff in here as well. Let me... Oh, wow. Super close as far as our top dog for the week. I'm not going to spoil it yet because I'm going to do my whole release announcement here with all the challenge categories and stuff. But I will say this was super close between number 1 and number 2. And then the folks right behind them were super close. There were 1, 2, 3, 4 kind of in that top 3 spot there, all within one or so of each. Actually, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 within 2 of each other, 3 of each other. 5 people within 3 logs of each other. Top 2 were within 1 log of each other. I was way behind, so didn't have my best week as far as logs. I thought I was doing pretty good at first. I was like, hey, I got some, getting some somewhere. And at one time I was kind of like near the top of the pile there, but then the week kind of went on and I wasn't hearing anything new, and you guys were. And woo, got some good logs in there. So, all right. So we recap a little bit. What have we done tonight? Talked about the Airspy HF Plus Discovery. We talked about what a great SDR it is. We talked about the SDR Sharp software, the code channel canceller, the IF noise reduction, and how those can be aids to help you with DX, whether you're doing live DX or recording and then reviewing after the fact. We launched our new week 2 for the medium wave frequency challenge. Again, that's going to be 670 to 702. The Google form is in the chat, so definitely invite you guys to go ahead and start submitting your logs now. I'll be announcing it to the rest of the DX community here shortly this evening on Facebook and Twitter and email and whatnot. And we talked a little bit about SDR software in general. We looked at HD SDR, SDR Console, some of these other programs that you can also use with your Airspy. But I typically find, usually in most cases, that whatever the software is put out by the SDR manufacturer, that's a great one to kind of stick with. Let's see what you guys are talking about here. Carl's got CKGM 690 Montreal. A new one here, I think. Well, guess what, Carl? You know what that means. We got ourselves a new log. And again, for those maybe who weren't here last week, the chainsaw reference there, you have a log, you cut it in half, now you have a new log. Created from the old log, right? You have a new log. That's the reference. We've also got, tonight, we heard a handful of stations. 1160, 1170, and then we had the ones there on 680 just now. So got some stuff in there, including I think I did hear one I needed to add to the. Actually, I did add to the challenge this week. We finally heard kHz Radio down in Columbia this evening. So all in all, it's not too bad night. Little computer glitches here and there, microphone cutting out, but oh well, there it is. We'll get that fixed here soon. My new software or my hardware upgrade should be here this next week. So that'll be nice. And then I think right after that we should have the new antenna for the ham radio stuff. The new vertical antenna, the DX Commander Classic. So we'll be putting that up and using that for our HF work on ham radio. So lots of stuff going on. Busy week. Let's go ahead and wrap it up for tonight. I got a dog over here going, I need to go outside. Thank you for everyone for jumping on, my friends. I appreciate you here. And being part of the fun. Join us next week. We'll be announcing our next week of medium wave frequency challenge for week 3, and we'll also be doing something else, maybe a little bit different next week. I haven't decided yet which way I want to go. I have a couple of different ideas of which way I want to go for a little different view next week, like we did this week. But we'll take a look and see. Before we go, what are you guys talking about? Talking about 1170. Was it 1170 or 1110? I think it was 1110 KVTT with their Bollywood stuff, right? Radio. Oh yeah. That's them. Here, before we go, let's go look there real quick. I'm gonna get out of the Airspy here because that's looking south, so it's not gonna see it. So we're talking about 1110.
And he plays and he gets whipped back on a stack. And
we got a point northwest here. Is that it? Black Eyed Peas? Is that what you guys are hearing? You think might be, and I would agree if you're saying it's Texas. Mineral Wells. Radio Murchie. Because that's the same thing I've heard them do before. It's hot. So if that's what you're hearing the same thing here. Next week, we're gonna be using a moderator to keep these folks out. By the way, starting next week, so I'm just gonna nominate somebody as moderator. So somebody next week's gonna be the moderator, keeping all that junk out of the chat. All right, so there we go. Appreciate everyone for being part of the fun tonight. Hopefully next week we'll have a little bit smoother presentation with the computer issues ironed out if we can get all that stuff in and installed. Take care, my friends. Best of DX73. We'll see you next week.
with DX Central. Follow us on Twitter at DX Central.